Hi, welcome or welcome back. It's Scott, aka Sketchy McDoodles, uh, and it's January. Happy New Year's, everyone out there. Um, I hope you had a safe and fun New Year's Eve and New Year's Day as well, and that this year you get to get out there and try some new things and just live life. My New Year's was relatively mild. I stayed home, and I did get to play around with my new airbrush, so that was pretty awesome. I tried that out, took it for a test run. I watched some airbrushing tutorials. I did a little work in learning and practicing with SolidWorks, and I put a window treatment on the top glass for my P1S printer. It doesn't sound like a very exciting New Year's Eve, but for me, man, getting to do all this stuff that I normally don't have time to do through the week with the hustle and bustle of work, that is an amazing time for me. So it's the new year. I'm going to be doing something a little different this year, trying to anyway. I'm going to take the advice of a fellow YouTuber and someone I really look up to, and focus a little more energy into my YouTube channel. And what that's going to look like, I'm not entirely sure yet. It's going to be a lot more probably behind the scenes kind of stuff, and process videos, my fails and successes, and just kind of the stuff I do when I have free time. And I'm going to try to capture some of that. I'm really bad at it. Typically when I want to do something, I make a lot of DIY projects and stuff like that, and I do a lot of painting and drawing and modeling and things like that. And typically when I get in the mode where I want to do those things, I just want to do them. I just want to do them. You know, I don't want to stop and set up the camera and put in the fill lights and then reposition the camera and all the stuff that, if you've ever made content, you know goes along with making a video. It takes a bit more time and effort to capture what you're doing than just to do it. But I'm gonna try to get better at that, and we'll try to get some more content, and who knows, maybe grow the YouTube channel a little bit. Speaking of which, if you're watching this is gonna be one of the I think this is going to be one of the first of many this year exclusive YouTube channel videos. Typically, I'll put everything out on every platform, and I'll let you decide where you want to view it at, if you want to view it. But for some of this kind of longer format, behind the scenes, maybe not everybody's into it type stuff, I think I'm going to keep that on YouTube. I think that's going to be exclusively YouTube. And YouTube is more formatted for that than like Instagram or Facebook or OWN or Snap. So to me, it makes sense to focus on that, and I was advised to do so. So I will. I'll do that. Also, it'll give you the opportunity to comment on these videos and give me feedback. Man, I can handle criticism. So I make a lot of DIY stuff. If weather is permitting and I have time and the material cost won't exceed what it would cost to purchase it, I'm probably going to make it, you know. These airbrush holders are one example. This turntable, I made that myself. Relatively cool because I've got a 3D printer. Actually the paint holder is something I made as well. For something like my paint booth, I wanted it. It was relatively affordable to purchase it, and it's winter here, so going outside to do cutting and sanding and all that stuff would be unpleasant. So, which brings me to what this video's going to be. So, for a while now, since I've gotten my 3D printer, I've had this idea of something I wanted to make. And I've had that idea for a while, and I've kind of gone over how it would look and how it would function, and it turns out I'm not the only one that had that idea. I think it's a good idea because many people have had it, and one of the guys I watch on YouTube, Uncle Jesse is his name, and I'll link his Instagram down below so you can find him on there, and maybe I'll put a screenshot of his YouTube channel up so you can find him there. Uncle Jesse does a lot of 3D printing and stuff like that. He actually had the almost exact same idea that I was having, and he just actually made it. And so today, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a product. And the product I'm gonna make is a sanding box. It's similar to like a sandblast booth, except I'm not sandblasting anything, I'm sanding. With 3D printing, you're gonna do a lot of sanding and getting rid of layer lines and support marks and stuff like that. And when you do that, it creates a lot of dust. And so in order to contain that dust, I'm gonna build a box that is gonna be using some of the parts that Uncle Jesse designed. So the first thing I have to do, of course, is go into two things. I could either design my own parts, or I could go into Maker World and see if there's some in there. Now, I didn't know for sure that Uncle Jesse, it's not really my uncle, Uncle Jesse had posted the parts that he had designed, but sure enough, I went into Maker's World and I just typed into the upper right corner there in the search bar, sanding box glove ports. And the very first thing in that list is Uncle Jesse's design, right there. So this is very good news for me. I don't have to design anything. Now the parts I'm going to be printing, you could very easily design in Tinkercad or SolidWorks, but here they are. These are the parts that we're going to need for the arm ports. Now he's got them on 3 plates, and I'm just checking what filament I have in here. The blue might look nice, but I'm probably not going to go with that. So then I'll go back to the prepare page, and in the prepare page, eventually, I decided the red was better. In the prepare page, I can start making some adjustments. I'm going to change the layer height. 0.2 would be fine for these, it's a functional part, but it's threaded and I want those layers to be a bit lower, so the threads will be a little smoother. And I just kind of look over the settings in here I may want to change. Oftentimes I'll change the wall printing from inner to outer to inner, but again, it's not an aesthetic piece, it's a functional part. I do want it a little more solid, so I added an extra wall loop. And I'm going to change the infill from adaptive cubic to gyroid. That's just one I standardly use, and I'm kind of learning that there are some better ones. Speed, I think the print speed's fine. It's just going to be PLA matte. Supports, there aren't any supports. Others, I don't really need to change anything in here for these parts. When you get into Bamboo Labs, you're going to find there's a ton of settings, and depending on what you're printing, you're going to want to change some things. What I want to do first off is eliminate one of these plates if I can. And that's just going to be moving the parts around and seeing if they'll both fit on one plate. In this case, they do. And 3 parts not going to fit on the same plate. So it's going to be a 2-plate print, and I'm going to need to print one of those plates twice. So I get those all positioned and looking good and making sure nothing's hanging off the edge. I also want to make sure that the test line that it does in the front of the plate doesn't intersect with the part. It's not going to hurt anything, but I mean, it doesn't have to do that, so if I can avoid it, I will. All right, so now I'll move the other part over to its own plate and we'll slice it up. So it looks like it's going to take 2 hours and 9 minutes to print those 2 parts using a little over 64 grams of filament. That's not a lot. And at this point I realized I think that these parts are green and I'm not using green filament. So I go back into prepare and change it to the red matte high speed that I'm going to be using. Slice the plate again. Again, 2 hours, 9 minutes. Using less material somehow. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. But yeah, so now I'm able to print that plate. I click print and make sure my filament's correct, and I just send it off to the printer and it's good to go. So after a short while, those parts print. Maybe not a short while, it took quite a while. And Jesse, Uncle Jesse, actually designed those parts in Tinkercad. They're very simple, and Tinkercad is great for simple parts. In fact, I designed this piece here in Tinkercad. And it's basically just a triangle with a lip and a second triangle coming out of it. And I designed these for corner pieces for the picture frame we're going to be using in this project later on. We'll get to it. And Tinkercad is super good and real easy for that once you remember how to use the software. It did take me a few minutes. Probably one of the downsides to using so many different softwares that I like to do is that you've got to remember how to do each thing in each software. But it only took a few minutes to remember. It's not that bad. All right, let's go over to, I've got my 6-foot table out over there, and we're gonna move the camera and the lightings and all that stuff, and we're gonna go over there and I'll show you what I've got laid out and we'll start. All right, here we are. We're at the 6-foot table, which, by the way, this thing is amazing. If you like to do kind of a little bit bigger projects like this and you've got limited space, I think they're like 50 bucks. You can bring them out of the closet, unfold them, set them up, and when you're done, fold them back up and put them away. Amazing idea to have one of these. I use this thing all the time. It's great. So what I've got here is a whole slew of items, right? This is going to be the main box. This is going to be the main box, sanding box, and it's not lost on me the irony that in creating a box to help eliminate some of the mess that's made with sanding, I'm actually going to need to make a mess, which is why I've got this handy dandy shop vac here, because I will need to clean up after myself. I've got some RGB plus white LED strips because I feel like I want to add lighting to this, and so I might. Tape measure, it's always handy. I have a cheap, I think it's like $10 picture frame from Walmart, and I've taken the backboard off of it, and I've used some, I think it was Gorilla construction adhesive to just glue the glass piece in. Now, along with this, I've also 3D printed these little corner tabs here that just slide in and kind of help ensure that if this maximum strength Gorilla adhesive doesn't hold, it's still going to be held in the corners, and I'll just glue these in place. What I also have is some power tools. You know, I'm going to need some power tools to cut this thing, and I'm not super sure how I'm going to do it yet. I've got a drill, I've got a Dremel, I've got a couple different industrial grade snips. I think honestly the best way to do this would be to use a sonic knife, which, if you're not familiar, a sonic knife is basically like an X-Acto blade that kind of has micro vibrations. But for this project, I didn't want to spend the $100 or $200 just for that. it might be a cool tool to have in the future, but for now I'm going to make do with what I have. But it would be a much more mess-free process. Also, with what I'm doing, if it weren't winter in Iowa, I'd probably handle all of this bit out on the balcony. But we're in Iowa, which is why I'm making this, so I can do some stuff inside, right? What I also have are Uncle Jesse's 3D prints. So these will be the armhole ports. Let me get one apart. And it's just two threaded pieces that lock together on either side of the wall of the tote, and will hold the glove. And he was smart enough to give us a template to trace out the holes we need to cut. I actually used the backboard from the picture frame to trace out the top portion that I want to remove. But also I printed two of these out. I'm not sure if that was intended or not, but I decided that, let me show you the assembled piece. This is the assembled piece. Before we go any further, yes, it's pink, okay? And it looks kind of small. These were the largest dishwashing gloves that Walmart carried. And it's wild to me that that they don't make man-sized gloves. It seems like some sort of sexism that only women need dishwashing gloves. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into that. But there are other options, and he does have a link, and I'll probably change these out for something a bit bigger later on. But for now, for today, these will work just fine. And I'll take them apart. And the glove just wraps around the inner lip of this ring, and then when you put the two pieces together, it'll kind of wedge it. And I think these little pattern pieces here would be a good locking piece to kind of help hold that down. So I'm going to use that. But yeah, we've got all of that going. I do have some cutout bits that I may attempt to try to use. These typically will go with a device that looks a little bit like a hand router. I don't have one of those, but I have some rotary tools, so maybe we'll give those a shot. But the idea is basically going to be, and I've already traced this out, the top portion there I've traced a rectangle on. I'm going to cut that out, and then the glass frame will sit over the top and be glued down. And you wouldn't necessarily have to do that. I went with a clear Sterilite container, as did Uncle Jesse. So you can actually see through that pretty well. But it's going to get used a lot. There's going to be dust flying around in there, and I just feel this will eventually get scratched up. It's the same reason I went with a glass frame versus an acrylic one. You could certainly use acrylic, but if you've ever worn safety glasses and had to clean them, you'll know that sort of plastic, that clear plastic, scratches up pretty quickly. The glass may be a bit more durable. So I've traced that out. This Sterilite container, clear, also has, by the way, you can get these with or without. It has a seal on the inside of the lid. And I think that's kind of nice for what we're going to be doing, to kind of help contain some of that dust. Now my version of this sanding box will be slightly different than Uncle Jesse's, but very much similar too. On the back side here, I've already laid out and traced the holes for the glove ports. I could have taken some time and really measured it out and made them even, but I think just eyeballing it, it's going to be pretty good. So, yeah, the Sterilite container, I think it was less than $15, so you can get one of these for less than $15. The gloves, these were like $3. Of course, I printed the ports, so maybe a couple bucks worth of filament. And the picture frame, it was probably about $10. So I think we're going to be into this thing for probably around $30. And the idea being that once I'm able to put my hands in the gloves and have the lid closed, I'll be able to do sanding and some rotary tool stuff without all the debris going everywhere. And you know, you can vacuum, but small particles, they get everywhere. And so this will be my containment box for that for now. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's nothing left to do at this point except start and make a mess to make something that's going to help me avoid making messes. All right, let's get to it. All right, so that's done. I did that. I tried a few different things. I tried using the cutout tool, but my rotary tool was not quite set up for it. It probably would have worked great with the tool it was intended for. So then I switched over and I ended up just drilling holes all the way around the edge here. And that worked to an extent. It was time consuming. I then decided I was going to switch over and use a cutoff wheel on the rotary tool. And that was a lot quicker and not as messy as I thought. I kind of had the vacuum going at the same time. But that worked out pretty good. What I realized partway through doing this is that you know, $150 for a sonic knife, it really isn't that bad. I was having those thoughts, but we did it without it. We didn't spend $150, and the edges are a bit rough. You know, the holes are cut out, but the parts fit, and all of the edges are going to be covered up anyway. So it's not that big of a deal. I did get the top cut out. I used exclusively the cutoff wheel for this, and it was a lot smoother, a lot easier going. So yeah, I guess that's my tip. Try the cutoff wheel. It works. This one is actually, you'll have like fiber cutoff wheels. This one's actually just a solid metal ripsaw style cutoff tool, and it worked pretty good. So next up, what we'll need to do is glue the frame. So this is our viewing port. This is what we'll be using. I've already glued the corner supports in place that I printed out. So I think what I'll do is I'll use some of this 2-part 5-minute epoxy. This stuff holds really well and it sets up well and quickly, and it still allows you a bit of time to work with it before it instantly dries. On the frame right in front of me, on the frame I used CA glue and an activator. I used on the frame I used CA glue and a activator. And the CA glue will dry relatively quickly on its own, but if you hit it with that activator, it it sets up pretty much instantly. Love that stuff. It's good for some projects, but for something like this where you want to get your part in place, maybe reposition it so it's just right, the 5-minute epoxy is going to give you a little more work time. So we'll get that window put in, that view window. We'll attach our gloves, and then I think because I like lights, we're going to add some LED strips on the inside. All right, let's do a little of that now. All right, and there it is. Only a short, maybe 4 hours later, and we have ourselves a poor man's sanding box. I would say that this project would probably take you half an hour to an hour if you weren't setting up tripods and if you had the proper tools. It would be a quick and easy project. But hey, as promised, it has lights. Because, I mean, everything should have lights, right? And plus, I mean, you can do all kinds of cool stuff while you're sanding, like disco, total disco. But yet, probably more likely that's the best bet. A few things I would note. I will be ordering different gloves. These work, but they're a little tight on my hands, and I would like something that I could more easily get in and out of. Aside from that, I mean, it's a solid box, and this will hopefully reduce much of the debris. I did go around the top edge, the outside of this viewing window. I went around that with some industrial strength Gorilla brand construction adhesive, just to add a seal around it, and also to ensure that it's not going anywhere. But yeah, man, a fun project. I think it's going to be super helpful. It's a bit different than Uncle Jesse's. In his, he put a port on the side to run his shop vac, so as he's sanding, it's cleaning itself out. And my shop vac's very loud, so I just don't want to run it in my apartment while I'm sanding. It'll be just as easy for me to pop the lid off and get inside with the vacuum afterwards. I suppose a future iteration of this, if I were to do it, might be that this would be on a stand, and there would be a port on the underside, on the bottom, where the shop vac, if I found a quiet one, would attach. And I would probably also do like a floor, maybe a few inches off the bottom of this tub, and it would be I'd probably print out some grates to rest items on and such, but still allow particles to go through. And it would probably have a sloped bottom, maybe on 4 sides sloped, so that anything that fell through those grates would travel downward towards the vacuum hole. But for now, I mean, this is going to work out pretty good. It's going to definitely eliminate a lot of the dust and debris that otherwise I would be wiping down things and vacuuming and cleaning up and never really getting all of anyway. So yeah, I'm fairly happy with the little sanding box I made. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I think my next one I may do some airbrushing. You can see me attempt and either succeed or fail at maybe painting something, maybe one of my skulls. But I think that's going to be coming up. There's probably a ton of things that I'll end up doing throughout the course of this year, hopefully. But yeah, let's. If you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed, you could do me a solid and subscribe. Maybe we can grow this channel and maybe bigger and better projects will come out of it. I hope you guys have a great year. Peace.